They did it. They actually did it. After years of teasing us, after years of making us believe, after years of ripping our hearts out and stomping on them repeatedly, WWE finally pulled the trigger on Sami Zayn. And you know what? Some of you still have the audacity to say he doesn't deserve it, that he's just a mid-carder, that this title reign is a charity case. Well, let me tell you something right now. If you believe that garbage, you haven't been paying attention, and you need to exit this video immediately and go watch something else, because what happened at the Royal Rumble wasn't just a feel-good moment. It was justice, it was vindication, and it was long overdue. But before we break down every single electrifying moment of how Sami Zayn shocked the world and captured the undisputed WWE Championship on the 31st of January 2026, I need to know something from you right now. Drop in the comments, did Sami Zayn winning the title make you emotional, or are you one of those people who think WWE made a mistake? And be honest, because we're about to have a real conversation about why this moment matters more than anything WWE has done in the past 5 years. Let's rewind to how we even got here, because this story didn't start at the Royal Rumble. This story has been building for what feels like an eternity. Sami Zayn has been the heartbeat of WWE television for years. The man who could make a 20-minute promo feel like 5 minutes. The guy who could take a thrown-together tag team and turn it into the most compelling storyline on the entire card. Remember the Bloodline saga? Remember when Sami was the only person who could make us care about every single segment involving Roman Reigns? That wasn't an accident. That was Sami Zayn being the most talented performer in the company, bar none. But what did WWE do with him after that? They stuck him in the mid-card purgatory. They had him chase the Intercontinental Championship like it was the ceiling of his career. They made him the forever underdog, the eternal sympathetic babyface who could never quite get over the hump when it mattered most. And fans started to lose hope. We started to think that maybe, just maybe, WWE would never see in Sami what we all saw in him, a bona fide main eventer, a world champion, a face of the company. Now here's a question for the real ones who've been following Sami's entire career. What was the exact moment you knew Sami Zayn was destined to be world champion one day? Was it his NXT run with Kevin Owens? His matches with Shinsuke Nakamura? Or was it more recent? Drop your answer below because I want to see how long you've believed in the underdog from the underground. Fast forward to the weeks leading up to the Royal Rumble. The undisputed champion, and I'm not even going to speak his name because he doesn't deserve the attention right now, had been running roughshod over the entire roster. He was cocky, he was arrogant, and he genuinely believed he was untouchable. The championship picture felt stale. It felt predictable. And then WWE made the announcement that would change everything. The undisputed championship would be defended at the Royal Rumble in a fatal 4-way match, and the fourth participant would be determined by a series of qualifying matches. Sami Zayn wasn't even supposed to be in the conversation. He was booked in a qualifying match against a monster of a competitor, someone who outweighed him by at least 80 pounds, someone who had been protected and built up for months. The odds were stacked against him, just like they always are. But here's the thing about Sami Zayn: when his back is against the wall, when everyone counts him out, when the entire world says it's impossible, that's when he's at his absolute best. The qualifying match was an absolute war. Sami took punishment that would have ended most careers. He was thrown around like a ragdoll, hit with finisher after finisher, and just when it seemed like it was over, just when it seemed like the fairy tale was dead on arrival, Sami dug deep into that reservoir of heart and resilience that has defined his entire career and pulled off the upset. The place erupted, the commentary team lost their minds, and suddenly, Sami Zayn was going to the Royal Rumble with a legitimate shot at becoming undisputed champion. But nobody outside of the hardcore fans really believed it would happen. The betting odds had him as the least likely to win. The so-called experts on social media and YouTube, yeah, some of your favorite wrestling channels, said there was no way WWE would put the title on Sami. They said he was just there to take the pin. They said he was the sacrificial lamb. They said it was his job to make the other three look good while the real stars fought for the championship. Those people owe Sami Zayn an apology. Here's another question, and this one's important. Before the match even started, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident were you that Sami was walking out as champion? Give me your honest number in the comments. I want to see if you truly believed or if you were one of the doubters. Royal Rumble night arrives. Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis is absolutely packed with over 50,000 screaming fans. The atmosphere is electric. The fatal 4-way match is positioned in the main event slot, exactly where it deserves to be. When Sami's music hits and he walks out onto that stage, you could feel the energy shift. This wasn't just another match. This was a moment. You could see it in Sami's eyes. You could hear it in the crowd's reaction. This was everything he'd worked for his entire career culminating in one night. The match itself? Absolute perfection. 28 minutes of non-stop action, drama, and near falls that had everyone on the edge of their seats. Each competitor brought their A-game. There were high-flying moves that defied gravity. There were power moves that shook the ring. There were submission holds that looked impossible to escape. But through it all, Sami Zayn proved why he belongs at the top of the card. There was a moment midway through the match where Sami hit a blue thunder bomb on the champion and went for the cover, and I'm not exaggerating when I say the entire arena thought it was over. The referee's hand came down 1, 2, and somehow, the champion kicked out at 2.9. The groan of disappointment from the crowd was deafening. But Sami didn't quit. He never quits. The final sequence of the match will be talked about for years. Two of the competitors were down on the outside after putting each other through the announce table. The champion was alone in the ring with Sami, and he was setting up for his finishing move, that cocky smirk on his face like he'd already won. But Sami countered, a desperation counter that came out of absolutely nowhere and transitioned immediately into the Helluva kick. The impact echoed through the entire stadium. Sami collapsed onto the champion for the cover. 1, 2, 3. The place exploded. Confetti fell from the ceiling. Grown men and women were crying in the audience. The commentary team was screaming themselves hoarse. And Sami Zayn, the man who was told he'd never be more than a mid-carder, the man who was told he didn't have the look, the man who was overlooked and underestimated for years, was standing in the center of the ring holding the Undisputed WWE Championship above his head with tears streaming down his face. If you didn't get emotional watching that moment, I genuinely question if you have a soul. But here's what makes this even better. The confetti is falling, Sami's music is blaring through the speakers, and then who comes out? Kevin Owens. His best friend, his brother, the man who's been by his side through everything. KO slides into the ring, and for a split second, you wonder if we're about to get a heel turn, if WWE is going to ruin this perfect moment. But instead, Kevin embraces Sami, and they celebrate together as the Royal Rumble goes off the air. It was the perfect ending to a perfect story. Now, WWE has a decision to make. Do they give Sami a real championship run, or is this just a transitional reign to get the belt onto someone else? History tells us to be worried. WWE has a terrible track record with feel-good championship wins. But you know what? I'm choosing to be optimistic. I'm choosing to believe that WWE finally understands what they have in Sami Zayn. Last question for you before we wrap this up. How long do you think Sami's title reign should last, and who should eventually be the one to take the championship from him? I want to hear your fantasy booking in the comments right now. Sami Zayn is your undisputed WWE champion. After everything he's been through, after all the setbacks and disappointments, after years of being told he wasn't good enough, he's standing at the top of the mountain. And if you're not happy about it, if you're not celebrating this moment, then you fundamentally don't understand what professional wrestling is supposed to be about. This is Wrestling Zone 1, and we'll catch you in the next one.